Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, picture this. A company spends an absolute fortune vetting vendors and picking out the absolute perfect AI models. The ink dries, the software is installed, and then, well, nothing. Usage metrics completely flatline. Today we're tackling the single biggest post-implementation hurdle organizations face, which is getting employees to actually use the AI. Because let's be real, a billion-parameter model creates exactly zero value if it's completely ignored by your staff. We're going to break down exactly how businesses can build AI workflows that teams genuinely want to engage with.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First up, the AI adoption problem. Then, we'll cover why workflow design matters, the sheer power of simplicity, how to avoid common mistakes, and finally wrap up with some practical steps for integration. Let's dive in.
Section 1. The AI adoption problem.
So, why do so many AI tools struggle with adoption? It's kind of the central mystery of our explainer today, right? Why do incredibly expensive, super powerful tools just end up gathering digital dust? Well, there's a massive disconnect. Leadership will often buy a platform because of its immense, jaw-dropping capabilities, but think about the daily reality of the actual end user for a second. If an employee has to break their concentration, switch tabs, log into some totally separate portal, and then engineer a highly specific prompt just to, summarize an email, they simply aren't going to do it.
And this comparison really hits the nail on the head when it comes to the root cause. Organizations frequently get completely tunnel-visioned on the technology itself. The AI that can crunch millions of data points in a fraction of a second. But by doing that, they totally ignore the user experience. True success in a deployment isn't just about raw functionality. It's literally all about cognitive load and context switching. If a shiny new tool adds 5 extra steps to someone's morning routine or disrupts a core habit they already have, they're going to bypass it, no matter how smart the model supposedly is.
Section 2. Why workflow design matters.
Integration, not disruption. Honestly, this needs to be the golden rule for literally any technology rollout. AI has to meet your employees exactly where they already are. Think about it. If your sales team basically lives inside a CRM, or your developers spend all day in a chat app, the AI needs to exist natively inside that exact ecosystem. When a rollout feels like their current workspace just got a massive, almost invisible upgrade, adoption basically becomes automatic. You're removing the friction instead of tossing a frustrating new hurdle in their way.
Section 3. The power of simplicity.
It's just basic human nature. Complex systems are going to create resistance. If an employee logs into a newly launched AI portal and the dashboard looks like the cockpit of a 747, you have already lost them. Every extra click, every weirdly named drop-down menu, it all drains their mental energy. Simple, intuitive workflows win out every single time because they lower the barrier to entry so drastically that using the AI actually becomes significantly easier than not using it.
Section 4. Avoiding common mistakes.
The absolute deadliest mistake an organization can make? The top-down, feature-centric rollout. This happens when executives purchase a tool based on some flashy demo checklist without ever once talking to the frontline workers. The inevitable result is this forced, deeply unnatural fit. The antidote to this is a workflow-centric approach. You actually have to sit down with the people in the trenches doing the daily work. Ask them what actively slows them down before you even think about allocating the budget.
Section 5. Practical steps for integration. So how do we actually pull this off? Here are the practical steps to integrate AI where it actually matters. First, observe. Don't just assume you know what they do. Actually shadow your teams. Second, ask exactly where the friction lives. Like, what repetitive tasks do they absolutely dread doing on a Tuesday afternoon? Third, pinpoint those exact productivity blockers. And actually, only after doing all of that do you move to step 4, which is building or buying the solution. Notice the paradigm shift here, right? We are working entirely backwards. Don't find a shiny new AI tool and then go hunting for a problem to solve. Find the exact bottleneck first and apply AI precisely to dissolve it.
If you're planning an upcoming rollout, I want you to treat this as your non-negotiable checklist. You need absolute simplicity to lower that initial barrier to entry. Workflow alignment to ensure the tool fits into their established daily habits, a frictionless user experience to keep frustration at bay, direct employee involvement so the solution reflects their actual reality, and above all else, it must offer immediate, obvious practical value. If you hit these 5 markers, your adoption rates will essentially take care of themselves.
Ultimately, digital transformation isn't about implementing AI just for the sake of saying you have AI. That's a total vanity metric. It is about helping people work better. It's about empowering your teams to shed all that repetitive busy work and focus their energy on what they do best. When you frame your AI strategy entirely around the human element, the technology finally delivers on its massive promise. And actually, that perfectly tees up our next explainer, where we'll explore exactly how businesses can measure the ROI from these investments once adoption is secured.
I'll leave you with this final question to evaluate your own strategy. Did you implement an AI tool your team genuinely wants to use, or did you just buy one that looks absolutely incredible on a boardroom slide? Talk to your end users and focus on their daily reality. Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer. Until next time, keep innovating and keep making work better.